Good evening, everybody. We are back. Tonight we are going to be walking around Midtown Manhattan. We are right outside of the one, the only Grand Central Station. We're going to be talking about Meta Platforms earnings, or formerly known as Facebook. The stock is down about 20%, got hammered hard after hours after they missed on the bottom line. They beat a little bit on the top line revenue, but there was something very concerning about the report, and that was mainly in relation to the average daily users. So Facebook average daily users came in at about $1.93 billion, or 1.93 billion people, versus the 1.95 billion people that analysts expected. So a little bit of a slight deceleration there. So we'll talk about Meta Platforms earnings report tonight on the stream. I see Lady O, Sanjeev. Hey, Sanjeev, good to see you. I hope you and your family are well. Judy D007 says, good evening, y'all. Charlie Richardson says, you are back. Glad you're back. Thank you. Good to see you, Charlie. Lady O, Otto says, welcome back. Cosmo says, how is the call? Cosmo, my God, dude. Just talk about a fire drill. But we're back. Western Mass Dave says, cool, you're back. Paid some bills during the break. What's up, Western Mass Dave? Good to see you. British Gray, the one and only, says, good evening, Tom. Still with you. Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. Already the middle of the week. Futures are probably deep red tonight after Meta Platforms really getting hammered after hours. So their earnings per share came in at $3.67 versus analysts $3.84 expected. I think it's starting to rain here too. So yeah, missed on the bottom line, top line revenue. Came in low as well. Sorry we had to end that stream so abruptly. I had a couple clients calling me. It was a big fire drill, but you know, we sorted it out. So apologize as I regain my consciousness. Animal DL says, hey Tom. What's up, Animal DL? Savvy is here. Good to see you. The one, the only Penelope is here. Says, hi Tom, hope you are warm. Yeah, Penelope, so it's actually quite nice here in New York City. It is finally above freezing. Thank God. But it is quite, let's just say, cloudy, foggy. I think it's going to rain quite a bit as the week progresses. Cosmo Scary, it is good to see you. Lady O says, Tom had to put out a fire. Yeah, I had to put out a just craziness. But Marilyn's here. Marilyn says, we are back. Samantha J says, hello, Tom and everybody. Good to see you. We are right outside of the brand new One Vanderbilt building. But in terms of the revenue side, we had $33.67 billion in revenue versus $33.4 billion in revenue expected. So, I mean, I guess you could call it a little bit of a beat on the revenue side, but I would like to call it right in with analyst expectations. But obviously, Meta Platforms produced $3.67 of EPS, missing pretty big versus the $3.84 that analysts expected. But you know, I guess every company has bad quarters. The only thing that's really concerning for me is the deceleration in average daily users for Facebook, right? And now, as we know, you know, Facebook's not the only company that drives revenue for Meta. You know, you have Instagram and the like, but definitely concerning nonetheless. Marilyn is here, says, Tom, it's supposed to rain. Does anybody know how much it's supposed to rain? Good to see you, Marilyn. Samantha J. We are here on Vanderbilt Avenue and East 42nd Street. So we're going to cross the street and we're going to walk east. We haven't been east on the channel in quite some time. Penelope says, well, Tom, you can handle it. Yeah, a bit of a crazy fire drill we had to handle there, but you know, it happens sometimes. But check out the silhouette of the Chrysler building amongst all these clouds here. Marcy M says, thanks for coming back, Tom. No problem, Marcy M. Thank you for being here. Isabella says, hi, Tom. It's also raining in Montreal. So it doesn't, it seems to be maybe raining a little bit, but just the main thing is all the fog. Hey, somebody says, good morning from Germany to New York. Have a good day, Tom, and everybody here. Thank you so much. Alan Wilson says, good evening, Tom. Difference in perspective. I just turned up the heat because it's down to 67 here. Well, that's actually pretty good temperature there, Alan Wilson. As we are here outside of Pershing Square Plaza. And Grand Central Station. I'll show everybody the main terminal here. Penelope's is very different from last night. Yeah, last night was freezing. Wow, the clouds are so thick you can't even see the top of One Vanderbilt. And usually One Vanderbilt is all lit up bright blue. So we will be walking amongst the fog tonight. Yeah, Marilyn says Chrysler Building is more clear than the Empire. Isabel says, when are you going back to Miami, Tom? So we should be probably going back Friday. If not Friday, very early flight on Saturday. So, and I'm looking forward to getting back. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to spending some time in Miami with the nice weather, the sun. You know, we're definitely gonna get a chance to see some nice manatees and dolphins on the streams as we walk around, talk about fine. Nice to see the dolphins on the stream. Hey, Marilyn from Murray Hill says, in New York City, there is a dense fog advisory until Thursday at 1 p.m. I believe it. We're here outside of the Cipriani looking at the Chrysler Building. But I'll show everybody the MetLife Building here real quick. Photos from around New York is here. Hey, Photos says, and we are back. Yeah, Photos, I had to deal with just quite a crazy, bizarre situation. I'll explain it later, but everything is good, and that is the good news. You know, everything is good, nothing to worry about. Had a quick scare there, but thank God everything is good. No issues, no problems. So if you guys remember correctly, we always walk past the Cipriani right in Miami, and it always looks really, really beautiful in there. And I believe a viewer of the stream messaged me the other day saying that in order to get a reservation or in order to eat here at the location in Miami, you need to make a reservation almost 2 weeks in advance. So it seems like all the really good restaurants and places to go in Miami are always booked up. Yeah, Ladio says, as long as all is good. You're right. Yeah, Ladio, you ever have one of those situations where things are like crazy and then it works out and then it's like such a relief? That's essentially what went on now. Western Mass Dave says, it's been great having you back in town this week. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed my time here for sure. Sanjeev says, I love that hall. I believe it's an old bank. You know, I think it is too, Sanjeev, but there, you know, there's also another one. There's another really nice location down on Wall Street. And I actually used to work not too far away from there, actually quite literally 3 buildings down. So the Cipriani on Wall Street's located directly across the street from the German investment bank, Deutsche Bank. And that was the site of the very famous Occupy Wall Street protests. But here's another shot of the Chrysler Building, everybody. We're standing right on the corner of Lexington Avenue and East 42nd Street, looking at the Chrysler Building. Photos from around New York, says Tom. The old Williamsburg Savings Bank in Williamsburg is also a dining hall too. Penelope's like story of my life, Tom. Yeah, you always, there's always those instances where you get those calls and it's like everybody's having a panic attack. And then it's like, oh, wait. No, okay, everything's good. Sorry about that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys almost blew my heart out. But, we're good. We're good. We're back in action. The heart's still kicking. So, Grand Central Station, 42nd Street, the 4, 5, 6, and 7 trains. And I think we're actually going to pass the Pfizer building here in a moment, next to the Capitol Grill. Hey, Nice Guy is here. It says, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Nice Guy. Hope you're well. Yeah, Penelope's, there's always a wrench in the works. Hey, Shop by Scott is here. What's up, Shop by Scott? Says, glad you're back, Tom. I thought you had some bad noodle soup and it caught up with you. Hilarious. Yeah, not quite, Scott, but good to see you, my friend. Hope everything's well in Sunny Isles, Florida. I'll give you guys a quick view of the Capitol Grill. Hey, Marty Lewis is here. Hey, Marty. Says, hello, Tom. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. I hope the heat's back on in your apartment. I remember you telling me the heat was not on. 007 says fire drills happen in post-production almost daily. I could imagine. NMB 045 says, Year of the Tiger saved the day, Tom. It did. Good to see you, NMB 045. Hope you're well. Canyon says hi. Sanjeev says there is also a new Cipriani club downtown. Do you know exactly where that is, Sanjeev? Now it's getting me thinking. I really want to check out the one in Miami. We always stream past it. It looks beautiful on the inside. But I've actually never been to one. Never been to one on the inside. Hey, Sonia's here. How are you? Nice Guy says, thanks, Tom, and great to see you. It's great to see you as well. On this night where Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook's getting hammered after hours, stocks down 20%. In an environment like this where, stocks are really priced to perfection, if you're a company that's pushing, a $1 trillion market cap almost, and you don't hit your expectations, you're going to get punished. And that's why a lot of the times on the streams, even though we cover earnings, what's most important oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes what's most important to really look for in an earnings report is actually the forward guidance, right? Because investors, they don't want to pay for earnings that happened in the past, right? They want to pay for future profits, for future growth. So you can have the best earnings report possible. And oftentimes, the chief executive officer, the chief revenue officer may get on that earnings conference call and say, hey, we may have had a great quarter this previous quarter, but looking forward, we're seeing a lot of headwinds which may impact our earnings and sales. And that's why you see a lot of the times these stocks could beat earnings expectations, but the forward guidance comes in worse than expected, and then the stock drops like a rock. We had a little bit of a mix on Meta's earnings report. They did miss on their EPS. Revenue came right about in line with analysts' expectations, but on a go-forward basis, they said a lot of the supply chain issues have been really impacting their advertisers, right? So a lot of people who advertise with Facebook or Meta are cutting back on their advertising spend, not because they don't think customers could buy their products, but they physically cannot deliver these products to the customers. So they're cutting back on advertising spend to adjust for that supply chain disruption. Hey, Unlimited Stimulus is here. Says, Tom, fingers crossed Amazon earnings saves the market on Friday. We'll cover that too. Good to see you, Unlimited Stimulus. Marjan Worldwide says, Tom, in 10 years, where do you see yourself? Hopefully doing the same thing, but just on a larger scale. Hopefully my business grows and maybe starting some sort of financial media company, perhaps, to compete with CNBC. Ireva says, hi, Tom, looks foggy tonight. It really is. Really foggy tonight. Emilio J says, it's sad that Facebook had to pull a Ron Artest and change their name to Meta. Pathetic, really. Yeah, Emilio J, I do see where Facebook is coming from, or Meta now, when they I think they understand that traditional Facebook may be a sinking ship, so they're trying to diversify their holdings, to the metaverse, to Instagram and things like that. Simply Janique is here. How are you? Good to see you. Hey, we got Ken Glass here. It says, hey Tom, hope a productive phone call wasn't the same without the live. What's up, Ken? Hope you're well. This is always the big globe we walk by here. Hey, Dean M says, hey everybody. Stay warm. Ice storm here in Dallas. Wow. Dallas is getting a big ice storm. Tom M says, Qualcomm revenues and earnings for first quarter of its fiscal year greatly exceeded analyst estimates. Yeah, Tom M. So Qualcomm is another stock that reported earnings today. I didn't have time to sit in on that conference call because I was back and forth between Meta and then, trying to run my own business. And, I was working till really late tonight. So I actually didn't even think I was going to be able to stream. But I apologize. I don't have those in-depth numbers on Qualcomm. But I did read the CNBC headline, Tom. So that's really encouraging news. Hey, Pacific Desert Raid says they know Facebook is a dying platform, which is why they're shifting to Instagram and WhatsApp. And how much more data can they mine from its users? I think you hit the nail right on the head because, globally, average active daily users, even though it increased on Facebook this quarter, it greatly missed analyst expectations. Shot by Scott says, Tom, what's a stock you consistently find yourself going to and stocking up on every now and then? So I'd say every now and then where I'll consistently just buy is just an index fund that tracks the S&P 500. And I'll usually buy that on a regular basis every month in just like a long-term retirement account, just so I don't really have to look at it, because my bet is, over the next 10 to 20 years, I believe that corporate earnings in America is going to not contract, right? It's going to expand, in my view. So even though the market, we may go through bear markets where the market's down 50%, I think over the long term, I think corporate earnings and corporate profits will continue to increase in the United States. Yeah, Dean M says Google's kicking ass long term for me. You're right. Great quarter. They did continue to lose money on their cloud computing segment, but if you look at this time last year, Google was losing about $1.14 billion in their cloud computing unit. Now, I believe they lost about $850 million. So they're losing less and less money every quarter, which is encouraging. And once they become profitable, all of that is going to hit the bottom line. And that's really, really going to drive that stock. Marty Lewis says, Tom, I have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, but find Facebook easiest for staying in touch and exchanging comments with friends. Facebook has owned IG for a long time. For me, I haven't really logged into my personal Facebook account in years. Is this guy in the middle of the road? You guys see this, or is this just me? Oh, it's a jogger. I thought he was just in the middle of the road. Marjan Worldwide says, Tom, where are you going tonight? We're just going to be walking around the east side. Very seldom do we go on the east side on the channel. So we will head back to the west side on 2nd Avenue here. Andrew Lee says, what's up from Queens? Good to see you, Andrew Lee. How are you? And Andrew Lee says, happy Chinese New Year. Thank you. Happy Chinese New Year to you too. Hope you're having a good one with you and your family. Hello from London. Yun says, is this live? This is live. Daryl from Chicago, Illinois says, has over a foot of snow today and tomorrow. Stay warm. Alton says, hey Tom, how's it going? It's going really good tonight. Coolon 516 says, so you talked about the Alphabet stock split yet? Yeah, so we touched on that on yesterday's live stream. Yesterday we had Alphabet and Google, or Alphabet, parent company Alphabet, Google reporting earnings, as well as AMD. So we talked about their 20-for-1 stock split. So Alphabet announced They're going to split their stock 20-for-1. But what a lot of people don't know, during a stock split, the valuations actually do not change, right? The only thing that changes during a stock split is the amount of stock that you get, right? So it's just making the share price of the stock a little bit more quote unquote affordable, but the valuation metrics still remain the same. NE says, I feel like people forget the international market used to outperform the US market. Yeah, so the Indian stock market has been on significant outperformance. So a lot of managers on Wall Street that are heavily weighted to Indian equities actually tend to have been generating a lot more alpha for their customers, which is a great point. So in select emerging markets, I do see, let's just say, money flow going to those specific emerging markets. And I think that my overall opinion, if I had to pick one specifically, it would probably be India for investment. But we'll be having a stream more specifically focused on India very soon. Cosmo Scary says, Tom, do you have any Indian index funds? I personally don't. Hey, Michelle McGraw says, I love the new thumbnail. Yeah, Michelle, so I originally made that to be like my YouTube cover photo, but YouTube is, I guess, automatically defaulting that to be the thumbnail. But it's kind of cool. I think it looks nice. You know, it has all of my favorite things in one. You know, you have the Mighty Bull, you have the Fearless Girl statue, you have the New York Stock Exchange, and then you have the old school floor traders on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange during, you know, back in the day when there was actually trading activity on the floor of the stock exchange. So all of my favorite things in one. Nice guys, as emerging market ETFs have been performing well. Yeah, I think in 2020 they had a good year. 2021 they've been relatively flat. So if you look at like EEM, is a very popular one people track. Also VWO. But I think VWO excludes Korean exposure, so you could think about companies like Samsung. I think VWO is more heavily weighted towards like Chinese equities. Sanjeev says, nice hotel. You know, Sanjeev, I actually stayed at this hotel, the Westin, one time when I had an interview with the company. And even though I was living in Long Island at the time, the interview process was like a 2-day, sort of like a table day, round table day. And they put me up in that hotel, and it was actually quite nice. Marilyn, good to see you. Kirby says, Facebook is the old MySpace. If you don't disrupt your business, somebody else will do it. That's a great quote. That's a phenomenal quote. JMTS Productions says, I miss half of the live stream because I just got home from work. Good evening. Well, I think you're right on time. I actually think you're right on time because we did actually start the stream a while ago, but I did have something to attend to, so I had to end the stream early. So now we're back on. Mimi says, I took profits from India last year. We'll get back in when it gets cheaper. They say emerging markets struggle when US rises. Well, I think one of the main bottlenecks there, and not really bottlenecks, but one of the main hurdles is currency exchange rates, right? So adjusting for revenues in different currencies could put pressure on emerging markets. But, you know, there's an old saying on Wall Street that once the United States gets sick, the rest of the world catches a cold. Just because the U.S. economy is so robust and strong. But, you know, I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity, for sure, in emerging markets, in select places. Dean M says, thoughts on India going into cryptocurrencies? Well, you know, I was actually reading a really interesting article, a cover story in Investors Business Daily, about payments. And I think there's going to be a select few fintech companies that are really going to capitalize on the Indian market for payments, transactions, and things like that. But there's a lot of profitable businesses, and I think, GDP growth is really going to outperform in India over the coming years. Hey, Marjan Worldwide says, Tom, do you track your steps when you walk? So I don't, but I really think I should start doing that. I really think I should start doing that. Thiago's here from Brazil. Good to see you. Dean M, I hope you're well. Joey says, hey Tom, what's one of the best places to go in New York? So if you come here in the summer, I would really highly suggest checking out Riverside Park, which is a park on the west side of Manhattan. Hey, Daddy Boggs says the streets are cleaned up fairly well. Hey. Yeah, I think it was garbage day last night. Lady O says, Tom, your iPhone tracks your steps. Check the health app. So I did check the health app maybe 2 days ago after somebody suggested it. But the phone was saying that I take about 22,000 steps a day. And I'm not so sure if that's right. I'm not sure. Hey, Mona D says, hello, Tom and chat. Good to see you. MJ Capital says, good night. Every night around here. Very cool. Hugs, friend. Thank you, MJ. A Deer with No Eyes says, hey, Tom, do you think the mafia still exists in New York? Yes, they do. Joey Garcia says, thank you. What's up, Joey? Dallas is here. Says, hey, Tom, how's your evening? My evening is going very well. Oh, Cosmo Scary says 22,000 seems about right. It's about 8 miles. Wow, you guys think we do 8 miles a day? Maybe. Lady O says, Tom, 5 miles is about 10,000 steps, so it's quite possible. Wow, we're really getting in the road work. I mean, I was going to estimate about 18,000, but consistently, I mean, some nights, one day, over the weekend, I saw 37,000 steps. I was like, there's no way, but you never know. Running at altitude says, wow, that would be around 11 miles, almost a half marathon. Well, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but when we used to skateboard on the stream, I think one of the records was we did almost 30 miles, which that I do believe, because I think that was the day we went over the Brooklyn Bridge, over the Manhattan Bridge, and over the Williamsburg Bridge in the same night. Hey, Pixelogic says, hey Tom, do you carry a portable charger for your iPhone, or is your battery life good? So that's a good question. I always thought about carrying a portable charger, but then again, I would never stop streaming. So usually we end the stream when the phone dies. So I think it's best to not have a portable charger. I think, I'm trying to get the streams to around 2 hours a night, but we always wind up going over. I really wish I could show you guys the One Vanderbilt building, but it's completely covered in all the clouds. But this is Park Avenue and Pershing Square. Pixelogic, good to see you. Hey, Laytha's here. Good to see you, Laytha. Hope you're well. I'm just making sure I didn't miss any of the comments. But yeah, so one of the things I'll briefly touch on here, and I think is really important to look at. So a lot of the times, well, most times on the channel, we talk about, we're looking at the NASDAQ, we're looking at the S&P, we're looking at the Dow. Obviously, above all, if we want to know where the stock market's going, you need to sort of watch the debt market. So we got to look at that 10-year treasury yield. That's number one. But so the Russell 2000, right? And I always look at the Russell 2000 because these companies tend to be on the smaller side in terms of market capitalization, and these companies tend to not be very profitable. And these stocks have been getting hammered, getting crushed, because when rates go up, you know, we've covered this almost ad nauseum on the stream. When interest rates go up, that means the future projected earnings of those companies are now worth less today, right? So if interest rates are high right now, why would I buy an equity that's going to earn X amount in the future when those future earnings are now worth less due to the interest rate hikes? So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these Russell stocks roll over, and a lot of them making new 52-week lows. So the overall breadth of the market is not very good. You know, we've talked about this a lot. And I think one of the other things is, you know, looking at Meta's earnings report today, I think that's the first mega cap tech stock to really crack. Right? Could you just imagine if Apple had a report similar to Meta? Could you imagine if Microsoft had a report similar to Meta? You know, this market would be down 30% overnight, quite literally. Because, you know, if you read the Behind the Street newsletter, that's why I always put in there every week the average weightings in terms of market capitalization in the indices. So the vast majority of the weighting in the S&P is those mega cap tech stocks. Hey, Oscar Diaz is here. What's up, Oscar? Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Already middle of the week. Pacific Desert Raid is here. Good to see you. OFs, the steps are easy to come by. I can do 3,000 a day. Running a wood stove, good content is special, good work. Hey, thanks so much. So we're here, Madison Avenue, East 41st Street, Library Way. Tony Evans says, Tom, I walk about 10 to 12 miles a day at work. That's fantastic. That's awesome. I'm a big fan of that. You know, that's why I like cities like New York and Miami. They're very walkable. You know, debatable, Miami's not that much of a walkable city, but for me, it is. But, you know, that's really why I love living in New York and Miami. Very walkable. Pacific Desert Raid. This is a great comment. So Pacific Desert Raid says Apple actually blocked some of Facebook's tracking feature in their iOS updates last year. That's a phenomenal comment. And Zuckerberg actually mentioned that as a reason why their advertising revenue came in lower than expected. It was the same thing on Alphabet and Google. You know, in Google's YouTube segment, you know, with the new iOS update, that really impacted advertising revenues. So that is a great comment, good point. So this is Library Way, and I think this is kind of a cool shop because there's absolutely nobody on the streets. Hey, Adrian here says, hey guys, shout out from Baltimore, wrapping my change tonight while listening to you. Awesome, Adrian. Well, good to have you here. If you guys are enjoying the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. Aaron Pearl is here. Says everyone remember to keep surveying all directions during winter storm. Very cool. Very good point. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is here. What's up, Sunshine? Hope you're well. Hey, Razzle Dazzle 786 says, hey Tom, hope you had a great day. What's up, Razzle Dazzle? Razzle Dazzle is an MRI technologist. Awesome job. Very cool. Hey, Carolina Tom says, good to see you, Tom. Carolina Tom, what did you think of Meta's earnings report today? Oscar Diaz is Warhol. Good to see you, Carolina Tom. Lou G, Razzle Dazzle 786. Yeah, Shop by Scott says, looks like an alien ship over the library. So just to give you guys an idea of how thick this fog is, the Bank of America Tower is supposed to end right about here. So there's this much cloud over the island of Manhattan right now, which is really bizarre. Mark Saint says, love the fog vibe tonight, Tom. Ever changing in New York City. Agreed. Hey, Lizzie says, how do I purchase a wallet to put Bitcoin on for safety? Well, I think the safest wallet that you're going to get is called cold storage, where you actually, write down your private keys and put that in some sort of a safety deposit box. But there's also new technology out there. You can get like a Ledger Nano S, which I would recommend. If you want to look that up, a Ledger Nano S. But here's a view standing in the middle of Fifth Avenue looking uptown. So this is Library Way, Fifth Avenue. So this is 42nd Street looking uptown. Carolina Tom says, reflection of the coming year for most, midsummer will begin the uptrend. So I think what Carolina Tom says is important, because one of the things that was concerning me, Carolina Tom, was the forward guidance. The forward guidance was really, really horrible from Meta, from Facebook, as well as PayPal too. PayPal I think got clocked after hours yesterday. But we also have to take into consideration this year in the United States is what's called a midterm election year. So historically, Q1 and Q2 were actually negative to, if not flat, for U.S. equities. And then Q3, Q4, that's when equities start to ramp back up. So what I'd like to see is continuation of earnings coming in better than expected. So, we can conclusively say Apple had a great quarter, Microsoft had a great quarter, Alphabet, great quarter, but Meta sort of let us down. That was a little bit concerning to me. I think that's probably the oddball out. And I think it's mainly driven by the deterioration in the traditional Facebook platform. Obviously, you have Instagram. Obviously, you have their new laboratory that they're working on, in which case is eating up a lot of money. I think it brought in, I don't really remember. I have to try to look it up, but I think it only brought in about $500 million in revenue, but it lost in the multi-billions of dollars. And then I think it's called Facebook's Reality Labs, or Meta's Reality Labs. And this is the brand new library. If you come here on the 5th floor, you could actually use the Bloomberg terminals for free. So check this out. Facebook's Reality Labs brought in $877 million in revenue, but they lost $3.3 billion. And I understand that there's significant research and development that's going on. They're trying to build out the metaverse. But as of now, that is a little bit concerning to only be bringing in $877 million, but you're losing $3.3 billion. And a lot of the times Wall Street can be a little bit nearsighted with things like this, and they don't really understand that companies need to invest this money to build out products and services. So I think that's what Facebook or Meta is doing. But that definitely is probably gonna hamper the stock going over the next couple of years. Just my thoughts. OF, good to see you. Sierra C says, yes, thank you for streaming. Good to see you, Sierra. Jatton says, our college library has free Bloomberg terminals. That's a great resource. You should be on them every single day. Phenomenal resource. Good evening, everybody from Russia. Good to see you. Al J says hi, Tom, and everybody. What's up, Al J? Good to see you. David Choi is here. Hey, David. David Choi says, wow, almost all the snow is gone. Yeah, David, on the island of Manhattan, pretty much everything is gone. Today, finally, for once, it got up above freezing. But out on Long Island, parts of Queens, Brooklyn, Nassau, Suffolk County, they still have significant accumulation, especially, way out east on the island. But the only thing we have left here is big puddles and just sort of this dirty mess. Joshua Lopez is here. Says, hello, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Joshua. Good to see you. Mimi says, I have zero interest on metaverse. I don't play video games and I prefer the real world. You know what, Mimi, that's interesting you say that because, kind of getting off topic here. Well, I guess it's kind of on topic. Did anybody see Kanye West coming out against the metaverse? Did anybody see that? There was a little bit of a controversy going on online where Kanye West was speaking out about, how we shouldn't be building products in the metaverse. We should be focusing on building real housing and creating real food for real people on Earth. And to that, I actually kind of see his point. I definitely do see his point. But I think that in order to really truly understand real world use cases for the metaverse, I think it's going to be a consistent learning curve, just like the iPhone, just like with any other piece of technology. But I thought it was an interesting comment. And a fair assessment. Miss Bash says, yeah, I saw that. He says he didn't want to do NFTs as well. Yeah, well, I think a lot of that sort of activity could be a little bit malicious, I would say. But, where I do see real value in NFTs is for some specific artists or creators, maybe in the music industry, or even if you're a content creator, to try to break away from traditional hierarchies of record labels signing ridiculous deals that don't benefit you. If you issue different NFTs, it's a good way to raise capital to fund your ventures, as opposed to, signing with a particular record label or something like that. So obviously, with anything, there's give and take. And as we've talked about previously on the channel, usually how market cycles work. When you have a new technology, things tend to over surprise to the upside and then overcorrect to the downside. I think right now in the NFT universe, I think we are overcorrecting to the upside, and there will be a day of reckoning where everybody gets washed out. Hey, Jerry says Kanye West is now officially yay. Interesting. So I almost went to college here, but before it was called the Stella and Charles Gutman Community College, it was called the New Community College, NEW Community College. Hey, David Choice, can you walk through Bryant Park? Sure. Yeah, we'll check it out. Good to see you, David Choi. Ooh, you know what, David? I think it may be closed. Yeah, unfortunately, I think Bryant Park is closed. And the security guards at Bryant Park, they don't play around. They are quite the bunch. So maybe another day. Maybe tomorrow. If I can stream earlier tomorrow, we'll take a little bit of a walk around Bryant Park. But thank you for joining, David. Appreciate it. Hey, Toronto says it would be great if you have an electric bicycle while streaming. Yeah, so we usually ride around on a skateboard, but it's on a little bit of a hiatus now that it's freezing. But we should be back soon enough, I promise. So now we are standing outside the Bank of China. Hey, Hassan B's here, says, hey, how you doing, bro? Drake says, your favorite pizza in Manhattan will be in New York City next week. So a good place if you go to the Upper West Side and go to Made in New York Pizza. So check out Made in New York Pizza on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I believe it's on 80th Street. But just Google Made in New York Pizza, you'll check it out. There's actually a big controversy, a lot of litigation going on with that particular pizza shop and Prince Street Pizza. So the owner of Prince Street Pizza used to employ the owner of, what do you call it? Made in New York Pizza. And Made in New York Pizza, the guy said, all right, I'm quitting Prince Street and I'm gonna open up my own shop. The only thing is, allegedly, he stole the recipe and took it to Made in New York Pizza. Now, I'm saying allegedly, so if anybody from Prince Street or Made in New York is watching this, please do not sue us here at the Walks on Wall Street channel. I am saying allegedly. I'm not saying it happened. But, you know, I guess you could go there and decide for yourself which pizza is the best one. Hassan B says, go to Tom's restaurant, Becco. Yeah, you could go to Becco. Becco's a great Italian restaurant. I'd highly, highly recommend it. It's on Restaurant Row, and we actually walked past it a couple streams ago. Somebody says, Tom, what do you think about the Evergrande situation? So 2 streams ago, we were actually talking about, oh, look at these guys. We were talking about the Chinese commercial paper market and how concerned I am with it, but it doesn't seem like the market's paying it too much attention. You know, the Chinese commercial paper market is something that I think we should all be watching because it just cracked the lows of the 2020 COVID recession. Hey, Grant Link is here. Good to see you, Grant. How are you? Jerry says, I think I choose a bad day to quit pizza. Mimi says, I know $1 pizza near Penn Station. Chris says, can an average American get a bank account at Bank of China? Probably not. Usually that's more, a lot of the banks here, like when you walk past the Bank of China, you know, they may have a couple ATMs in the lobby, but I believe the vast majority of the transactions that go on in that building is more like corporate banking. But I really don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know that type of qualifications. So if you look to the north, this is Times Square. Hey, Chris Beeman says, hi again, didn't know we're back. Yeah, Chris, I had to deal with a little bit of a fire drill, but thank God everything's all right. Mike S says, why do so many buildings have scaffolding on the sidewalk? Well, it's really a two-faceted issue. So for example, this is actually a perfect building to give the example. So you see all the scaffolding here, but if you look at this building, you'll notice the facade tends to be a little bit older. So what happens is the building inspectors in New York look at the building and they say you have to do one of 2 things. You either have to make repairs to this building, or you could put the scaffolding up and just leave it there, and then it'll delay the time it takes you to actually fix the building. So a lot of the landlords in the city will just put the scaffolding up and then they'll never make the repairs. And that's getting a lot of people really upset here in New York because they're like, it's just an excuse for landlords to do a quick fix without actually fixing anything. So these scaffolding right here could be up in perpetuity. Hey, Box Troll, good to see you. Somebody says go to Koreatown. You know, maybe we'll take a little bit of a walk around Koreatown tonight. One of my favorite places in the city. Hey, Vian Shung says new to this channel. Hello, good to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm very glad to have you here. So thanks for being here. We have a lot of new viewers, so thank you. KJJK says, how far away from you from 5th Avenue? We're about a couple blocks over, but we actually were just in 5th Avenue, just on 5th Avenue not too long ago. I think these guys are shooting a music video here. That's actually kind of cool. Hey, Toilet Paper Matters says, skate bro. Were you in New York on 9/11? So I was born in 1995, so I don't really I was like, what, 5 years old when that happened? And I don't really like thinking about it, to be honest. OF says, loving the hula hoops. What toilet paper matters. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Nice guys, is Tom. Have you ever heard any reviews on Vanguard Digital Advisors? So a lot of the traditional broker dealers are trying to get into these robo-advisors. And, you know, for me personally, I don't think it's a good fit. I don't think it's any good, but it's just another way for a lot of these, traditional broker dealers and banks to try to gain more fee income, I guess, or just offer new products to customers. But me personally, I don't really see much value in it, to be honest. Hey, 99 says, hello from Japan. Welcome to all of our Japanese viewers. Welcome. Tom Conway says, you ever look inside any old churches? I wish you could get some good pizza pics. Sometimes we'll take a look at some churches. Well, one of our favorite churches on the stream is actually St. Thomas Church. It's on 5th Avenue. Beautiful there. Aaron Prill says, I love the woo noise that thing makes. Hey, Mario's here. What's up, Mario? Somebody says, why don't you like talking about 9/11? I mean, it's just been a long day, man. I don't really want to... It's just a depressing thing. Franchises Tag says, hello from Beantown. Good to see you. ST says, where do the hipsters go for beers in the city? So I would say, where do the hipsters go? You know, a lot of the hipsters are hanging out downtown near St. Mark's Place. So a lot of the times you'll see them hanging out with Cosmo Scary and myself. David Choice, St. Patrick's Cathedral is a spectacular monument and also on 5th Avenue. Yeah, you're right. So David, there was actually, St. Patrick's Cathedral was actually closed to the public, I believe, today because there was that funeral for the NYPD officer that was unfortunately murdered in Harlem. So there was a lot of police officers in the city today from all over the tri-state to pay their respects to the fallen NYPD officer. Horrible what happened. Absolutely horrible. Shop by Scott says, do they have a World of Beers in Manhattan? I'm not sure about that. I'm not too sure. I think there's a beer garden in Manhattan. Angel Hernandez says, Mexico loves Americans. Take care, people. Well, thank you. We love you too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying that. Daniel's Art Animation says, New York City, the city that never sleeps. Good to see you, Daniel. Nadia says, yes, new viewer. Well, thank you everybody who's new to the channel. I appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying. Igor says, Tom, when are we going to do a walk in Williamsburg? You know, honestly, to be totally transparent, probably in the summer. Very rarely do I like going to Brooklyn in the winter. Mainly just because I really have no business going there. A lot of my clients are in Manhattan. However, I did used to live in Brooklyn. I used to live in Greenpoint. In which case I would actually take the 7 train to Vernon Jackson Boulevard in Queens and then walk across the bridge to Brooklyn. Hey, Chris L., eventually there'll be no difference between U.S. banks and the Bank of China. Good to see you, Chris L. Mario says, hey, Tom, what's your favorite place to go to eat food? So probably 2 places. Number 1, Becco, great Italian restaurant here in New York City. Number 2 would probably be Take 31, which is a great Korean restaurant. And we actually may pass that today on the stream. Nadia says hello from Malaysia. Welcome to all of our Malaysian viewers. Big Possum says the city looks great at night. Any dive bars with great burgers? Well, we are in front of a Shake Shack. Not a big fan of Shake Shack. I like Five Guys. Hey, Ruben is here. Hey, Ruben. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Grant Link says, any idea what they're repairing? If I had to guess, it's probably some sort of fiber optic, fiber cable, perhaps. We'll take a look on the truck. Usually you'll say it. But it's either probably some sort of fiber cable, or it looks like they're putting in some sort of reinforcement bar in here. Have I ever visited Texas? You know, I'm supposed to be going to Texas pretty soon. But stay tuned. Hey, Kira J, this is Skater Guy. What's up, Kira? Long time no see. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. VRAJ says, how are you, buddy? Hope you're well. I'm doing really good today. So everybody, this is supposed to be the very iconic view of the Empire State Building, but you know, due to all of the cloud coverage, so the Empire State Building is supposed to be right here, but now we can't see it at all. Lady O says this is a Five Guys stream. NMB045 says 11:17 Tom. Thank you, NMB045. Lou G says, man, the fog is really thick. It is. It's crazy. Oh, but everybody, so I did, for 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, everybody should be receiving, I scheduled to go out, the micro copy of the Behind the Street newsletter. So check out, or be on the lookout for that in your inbox. It should be in there 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if you were not signed up for my free financial newsletter, Behind the Street, if you type !news, NEWS in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to the newsletter where you can sign up for free. And I do send that out to everybody on the channel once a week. Somebody says Five Guys is going bankrupt. Is that true? I hope not. Because if that's true, we're going to have to buy that out. Grant Link says, Tom, have you been to the observation deck at 1 Vanderbilt yet? So I haven't, not yet, but I would like to go. I really would like to go. Somebody says, where are you in Manhattan right now? So we are at Herald Square. We're looking at the Herald Square Towers, 34th Street, Broadway. So if we walk to the right, we'll hit Pennsylvania Station. If we keep walking, we'll go to Koreatown. So we will be in Koreatown very, very soon. One of my favorite places in Manhattan. Yeah, it's a bummer we can't see the Empire State Building, but this is it right here, this building. Ghost says, can you show the Empire State Building? Well, we're trying, but the fog is so thick that we can't even see it, unfortunately. Yeah, David Choi says K-Town is the best nightlife. Let's go. Yeah, it's a great place. One of my favorites, David. David, are you joining us from New York City? Do you live in Manhattan? Dan says, very clear audio and video. I love it. Thank you for being here. Alan Wilson says, iconic view. Hey, Drake Smith says, thanks for all the knowledge and nightly walks. Would you recommend Roosevelt Island in the tram? So I would personally recommend that. However, I would recommend that when the weather gets a little bit better. But then again, that's just because I don't like it cold. But thank you for being here. Thank you for saying that. Ah, David Choi lives in Queens. Very cool. So one of my favorite places in Queens is Flushing Main Street. One of my old co-workers grew up there, was born and raised in Flushing. So here's an interesting story. So my co-worker, he was about 55 years old when we were working together. And he grew up in Flushing, New York, before it was a predominantly Asian community. So my friend was one of the first Taiwanese immigrants to grow up in Flushing Main Street. So he was one of the first Taiwanese families ever in Flushing. And back in the day, it was actually predominantly Irish-Italian neighborhood. So he saw the entire transformation of Flushing Main Street to what it is now. So we always go there and eat unbelievable Chinese food. And my friend is probably one of the best salespeople I have ever worked with in my life. And it was always fun after meetings. We'd go to Flushing, hang out, have a good time. Hey, Ibrahim Azam is here. Ibrahim is our moderator from California. Good to see you, Ibrahim. Hope you're well. Ibrahim, pretty much all the snow melted tonight. But the topic of tonight's stream, Ibrahim, is we were talking about Meta's earnings, or formerly known as Facebook. Yeah, David Choi says, I like Flushing, but it's too crowded for me. So, did anybody know that the busiest intersection in New York City is right there at Flushing Main Street? I always thought it was Times Square, but it's actually not true. It's actually Flushing Main Street. But to David's point, it's really, really crowded. But sometimes I like going there to eat because the food is quite affordable. And it's really good too. Hey, DN is here. Says hello everybody from around the world. Good to see you, DN. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining tonight. We were talking about Meta's abysmal earnings report. EPS, or earnings per share, came in at $3.67 versus $3.84 that analysts expected. On the top line, Meta generated about $33.67 billion versus the $33.4 billion expected. So a big miss on earnings. I guess you could call it a small beat on revenue, but I would just say in line with analyst expectations. Here, I'll try to show you guys the Empire State Building one more time. Fang Zhang says, Tom, where are you? Which country? We are in the United States, and we are in New York City. Hey, Igor says, I grew up in Flushing. In 1996, came to the USA. I'm in New Hampshire now. I miss New York, and I like your videos. Hey, Igor, thank you for saying that. David Choi says, some of the best Indian foods can be found in Queens. What places would you recommend, David, for that? Because, I actually don't eat Indian food too much. Freen Tick says Hunts Point, New York City. Hunts Point, I think, is in the Bronx, right? Go says, are you going to Times Square? Not tonight. Not tonight. Well, maybe, actually. Nadia says Flushing, Queens. Good to see you. So this is right here at the very, very start of Koreatown. This is 32nd Street. It's actually called Korea Way. Hey, Rad, or Chad is here. It says, excuse me, a lot of other people are asking questions and you are not answering our questions. You are not a good host. Goodbye. Thank you, Chad. I try to do my best, but I guess we can't please them all. Frank Gonzalez says, hi, Tom. Curious, during the summer, what's the highest temperature you can get in New York City? I've honestly seen it probably over 100, to be honest. The only thing, in the summer, in parts of Long Island, it can get really, really humid. But I would say, pushing 100, maybe even more. Bot B says, can you cash app me $10? $10. Possibly. Kira J. Jack L, good to see you.
He's got like a Louis Vuitton.
I'm good. I got Louis Vuitton. I'm good.
Come on.
Hey, Richard. Can I find bond rates in Europe and Australia versus the United States? Can you find better bond rates? I mean, I'm not a big bond guy, but a lot of the debt in the world is actually negative yielding debt. You know, if you look to places like Japan, I think the vast majority of the rates are negative rates. M says, what are some fun things to do late at night? Well, I think this is probably one of the best places. Koreatown. There's a lot of food to eat, a lot of good. I'm not a big karaoke person, but you know, if you're into that stuff, you could do that here. Joshua says, this is awesome. What camera are you using? So we are using an iPhone 11 to stream. No, it's all right. Hey, Dylan says, you seem really smart. What do you do for work, if you don't mind me asking? So I started off my career in tech sales. So you could think about enterprise software and telecom sales. And I think those are pretty good careers to go into. I think a lot of enterprise software or just enterprise sales in general, I think those career paths can oftentimes be overlooked. But they can be quite lucrative and quite rewarding as well. Because from a sales perspective, it allows you the opportunity to network with different CEOs, chief technology officers, at all different types of companies across the suite of industries. So for me specifically, I was focused in healthcare. So a lot of my clients were some of the largest hospitals, NYU, Cornell, Weill. You could think about some of the largest nursing homes, home healthcare agencies. That is the specific vertical that I sold into. But there's many different verticals you could sell into. So here's another look at the Empire State Building. Hey, Nicole is here, says, hey, Tom. How are you, Nicole? Alexander says, Alexander celebrates 5 months of membership. Happy Lunar New Year. Hey, thank you, Alexander. Appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for the support and happy Lunar New Year to you too. 99 says, I love kimchi. OF says, sales equals ops. Alan Wilson says, I think walking with you is a fun thing to do at night. I think so too. Smee Media says, hi Tom, have you ever, sorry about that. Have you ever run into someone who knows when you stream these walks? You know, actually a couple times. Yeah, we've actually walked in or met a couple of subscribers on the channel, which is fantastic. I love it. Hey, Donna Fields is here, says, how far is Walmart from Times Square? So I actually don't think that there's any Walmarts in or on the island of Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken. Pacific Desert Raid says, you're a great host, Tom. We understand there's 600 people here and you can't read all the comments here at once. Yeah, I try to do my best. I promise. I do try to do my best. Nirvana Fan 500 says, why do people still buy iPhones when there's better batteries out there? I think it really has to do with the OS, right? I think it has to do with the operating system. Many people like iOS, but I think the vast majority of smartphone users out there actually run Android. Yeah, Lady O, I've ran into Fernando many times. Fernando is super friends in the city. Okay, so right down here, I guess I'll give everybody the street name. What is this, 34th? No, excuse me. 31st Street and 5th. So this is gonna be one of my favorite restaurants in the city. It's called Take 31. Really good Korean place. NMB 045 says, Tom, do you use a stick or fork when eating Korean food? I tend to use chopsticks. You know, I actually tend to use chopsticks when eating all food now. I've been so accustomed to it. What about you? Hey, the Curve says, hey, you got a new subscriber. Well, thank you for subscribing. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing to the channel. We'll avoid this. Hey, Axe is here. Says, hi, Tom. Watching from New Zealand. Victoria. Very cool. Welcome, everybody from New Zealand. Cosmo says, wow, Tom, really? Yeah, Cosmo, I find myself eating most of my meals with chopsticks now. OF says, will the government break up Meta? You know, that's actually a really good question, because a lot of the big tech companies have been coming under... I'm waiting for these guys to go so I could show you guys Take 31. Hope everything's all right over there. But this is Hotel Chandler. I've never heard of this up until 5 minutes ago, but it looks like a nice place. Rabia says, welcome from Spain. Thank you for joining from Spain. I hope you're having a good week so far. And this is Take 31. In my opinion, this is probably the best Korean restaurant in the city. Hey, Bit of Wander says, I'm fresh back from a trip from Nashville, Tennessee. Very cool. Hope you had a good trip. Home just before the ice storm. So it looks like there's a big corporate event going on here. But this is my favorite spot. So feel free to check out this restaurant, Take 31. But if you go here, you're probably gonna have to make a reservation very well in advance. Burr Fox says, hey, it's Burr here from the Ukraine. Hope everything is going well in the Ukraine. And thank you for joining. Cosmo Scary, good to see you. M says, any advice on finding an apartment in Manhattan? I mean, you just got to keep looking. You just got to keep looking. I mean, you know, it's funny. On one of the previous streams we did not too long ago, we were talking about how the median rent in New York City just reached a fresh new all-time record high at about $3,400. So the median rent in New York is $3,400. But one of the interesting caveats in that article, and I forget the Nightbot command, but maybe you guys could drop it in the link if somebody remembers it. One of the interesting caveats is that new leases for apartments are actually down, right? As strange as that may sound, but prices are going up. So we're seeing a very strange divergence there, which we explored in great detail on the previous stream. So this is the Empire State Building. The golden top is sort of trying to crack through the clouds here. Richard says, I spent a month in South Korea a few years ago. Awesome people. Very cool, Richard. What city did you spend there? I mean, what city did you spend your time? Bot BP, I appreciate it, but we just can't have anybody asking people to solicit money. Just because we've had issues before on the stream of people pretending to be me, asking people to send them Bitcoin. So if you need help with anything, just email me directly and I'll try to hook you up. Hey, Layla says, gotta run to the store for more ginger and Pedialyte. So have to say bye for now, friends. Well, thank you so much for joining, Layla. I hope you have a great night. John Lee says, hey, Tom, did you see Facebook get hammered? Social media down big across the board. Yeah, John, you know, that was actually the topic of discussion for the stream tonight. We were talking about Meta's earnings. So we did a deep dive into earnings of Meta. Their earnings per share came in at $3.67. Analysts were expecting $3.84, so they missed on the bottom line there. They also, you know, came in line, maybe a small beat on the revenue side. They posted $33.67 billion in revenue. Analysts were expecting $33.4 billion. So I guess you could consider it a little bit of a beat, but at the end of the day, poor numbers nonetheless. They also gave pretty discouraging forward-looking guidance, saying that a lot of their advertisers are holding back on their advertising spend due to supply chain and logistics bottlenecks. And a lot of the advertisers are saying, look, we could sell a lot of our product, but there's physically no product to sell, right? So as of right now, they're trying to conserve and save money by saying, look, we're not going to spend that much on advertising right now because, you know, all the product we have is pretty much accounted for. So I think this is one of those electric BMWs. Is that correct? Unlimited Stimulus is, do you own any FANG stocks? Which do you have the highest conviction for the long term? I would say probably the highest conviction for the long term would be Apple, then Microsoft, then Alphabet. Eyeglass Lady says expecting a bloodbath for tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I would assume futures are probably down big, especially in the NASDAQ. So if anybody wants to check out the NASDAQ futures, the ticker symbol is the NQ, right? Which is I believe it's the mini contracts of the NASDAQ. Because, I mean, if Meta is down 20%, you know, it has a pretty significant weighting in the indice. Hey, Vanes, just BMW iX is also nice. Jack Ellis is down almost 2.5%. Yeah, and, you know, this is something that we talk about a lot, right? Because all of the big FANG stocks, right? You think about your Apple, your Microsoft, your Alphabet, Meta platforms, we just got hammered today, got clocked. You know, these stocks make up almost over 20% of the overall indice, right? So if a stock like Facebook or Meta, I hate calling it Meta. I sort of want to just call it Facebook. But I'll give in to Mark Zuckerberg. So if you have Meta down 20%, you know, that's going to rock the indices, right? Because it makes up so much of a weighting. So whenever you're dealing with an indice, great coffee here, by the way, Irving Farm. Whenever you're dealing with a market capitalization weighted indice, and all of the big leaders are down big, well, then you could expect the market to be down big too. Chris L says losing $10 billion isn't really good marketing. David Choi says, how long are you streaming? So David, we usually go live about 5 days a week, and the streams usually last about 2.5 hours, I'd say. Eyeglass Lady says, thank you, Tom. Marcy M, good to see you. Lady O, thank you for joining. We will see you in the next one. Daniel Rodriguez says, I love New York City. Greetings from El Salvador. Good to see you. Smee says, Tom, do you ever run into celebrities while streaming? I do not. I do not. Yeah, Vane says, yeah, Facebook sounds better. Ben says, which European city would you like to walk around and stream from the most? That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Do I do any research work in commodities? A little bit, but I mainly focus on equity research in the technology sector, or SaaS more specifically, software as a service. John Lee says, it's weird though Alphabet had great earnings. Not sure why Facebook couldn't pull it off. Well, I think one of the main reasons is, well, number one, a lot of investment into research and development. But number two, their core product is Facebook, right? And as the numbers shown, and I think it came in below analyst expectations in terms of average daily users. So I believe daily active users came in at about 1.93 billion, but Wall Street was expecting 1.95 billion. So a little bit of a miss the mark there. And I think if you look at the United States, you know, new Facebook account creations are probably all saturated, right? But maybe in emerging markets it's still growing, but I think pretty much everybody in the United States either has a Facebook account and doesn't use it or uses it a little bit. Hey, Kevin Sunderland is curious if Meta report causes one final big washout. Thank you, Kevin Sunderland, for the $10 donation. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, I mean, things are definitely going to get rocked. So, you know, I think, was it Kathy that said futures are down about 2.5 points? You know, since Meta makes up such a large portion of the weighting in the index, you know, it's going to bring things down a bit. But think about this. Could you imagine if Apple, Microsoft, and Alphabet missed their earnings reports? This market would quite literally be limit down the next day. Right? If you all had Apple, you know, all the big mega cap tech missed earnings like Meta did, you would have this market limit down probably for the next 3 days. That's why it's so important to pay attention to these very well notable $1 trillion club stocks, as I like to call them. OF says 20% is a big drop. It is. But Kevin, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. Ibrahim Azam says, I have a Facebook account, but I rarely check it. David Choi says, can we visit Penn Station? Want to see some renovation updates? Sure. We'll check it out. So David, have you ever seen the brand new Moynihan train station? We were actually walking around there not too long ago. It's beautiful in there. John Lee says, I have concerns about Snap and Pinterest tomorrow. We shall see. I think they're down across the board, aren't they? I think everything, I mean, I couldn't really watch the market. Oops, sorry. I couldn't really watch the market too much after work because I really wanted to be on the Meta call. And it's just work was crazy today, so I didn't get to see the other company's earnings. Aditya says, yeah, Facebook is mostly dead. I mean, they do have other revenue generating sources like Instagram and things like that. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, somebody said, Western Mass Dave says, I only use it to reconnect with old friends. So this is right outside Macy's, 34th Street. OF says, is the medical tech industry using Jira? So are you referring to Atlassian's Jira software? I mean, maybe some of them. My clients can't disclose that, unfortunately. But you know, a lot of big notable companies use Jira, use Confluence, which is Atlassian's products. So Atlassian, ticker symbol TEAM, and they are an Australian software company with their CEO is Michael Cannon-Brooks. Emilio J says, never forget the Zuckerberg sunscreen fiasco. Wow, Daryl said, Facebook disable my account. Interesting. Any other American cities we live stream? Yeah, we live stream between New York City and Miami. Those two cities. Yeah, most users use Insta and WhatsApp from Meta. So WhatsApp is also very big in India as well. But we will see. So tomorrow is Thursday. Right around 8 o'clock, I'm going to be sending out the Behind the Street newsletter that I'll send out to everybody. Hey, Shop by Scott, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Jonathan Richards says Facebook is for grandmas now. And there's also a lot of, you know, I think the regulators are really cracking down on a lot of different Facebook posts and things like that. So it's definitely a risky bet. Yeah, Nadia says WhatsApp is big for business. Cosmo Scary says, Tom, do you use Signal or Telegram? So I rarely use either of them, to be honest. Very rarely do I use either of those. But I think I do have a Telegram, but haven't used it in a long time. What about you? Yeah, WhatsApp is big in Southeast Asia. David Choi, 10-4, copy that. Hey, Techno Pink, good to see you. Techno Pink is our pal from the one and only Dominican Republic. Good to see you, Techno Pink. What's the farthest we walked on one of these streams? Maybe about like 13 miles, 14 miles. But if you guys are enjoying the stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. It helps out the channel very much. Aditya says, in India, most use WhatsApp for messaging and business, and Insta as a promotional opportunities for business. Interesting. Shady says, where is your favorite place to travel? I would say Miami, Florida. I really like the beach. Penelope says, what about Discord? So I'm supposed to be making a Discord for this channel, but it's been delayed. Let's just say that. Jack Ellis says, any books that you like that aren't finance related? Yes. So one of my favorite books for sales or just life in general is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think that book is very, very important for anybody to read. And it really helps you with communication skills, how to talk to people, how to deal with people. So I would definitely say How to Win Friends and Influence People is one of my favorite books. Yeah, Techno Pink says you're building Ernst & Young is here. That we are. We're very close to EY. Very close. Any books you like that are finance related? Yeah, a ton of them. So I think Margin of Safety by Seth Klarman is a very good book for people that are trying to learn about deep valuation or like deep value investors. How to Make Money in Stocks by William J. O'Neill, which is the founder of Investors Business Daily. One Up on Wall Street, which is a Peter Lynch book. And Peter Lynch used to run the Fidelity Magellan Fund back in the day. And then I would say Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle or John Bogle. And he is the former CEO and founder of the Vanguard Group. So those are probably the top cream of the crop books you need. Gregory's here, says I can't even use Discord on my computer. Canyon, I'm not sure if North Miami Beach has a lot of condos. Not too sure. I think they're building some more. Unlimited Stimulus says, could Google stock split make it a member of the Dow? Yes. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why they're doing it. If you guys remember correctly, one of the biggest enterprise software companies made it into the Dow 30 last year, and that was Salesforce, ticker symbol CRM. Kira J says, do you do these frequently? I thought it was just over the holidays. No, so we go live 5 days a week between New York City and Miami. So we are here 5 days a week. Mike C, I have never read that book, but I would definitely like to read that book. So now we are on 8th Avenue near the New Yorker Hotel, which actually acts as a dormitory for international students for CUNY in the City University in New York. So from here, you'll be able to see the one and only Madison Square Garden. Yeah, Jonathan Richards' Discord would be great, and we can connect to folks from the stream. Yeah, so that's in the works. I'm gonna make a Discord server for everybody. That is in the works. Techno Pink, I did not know that. Boston Consulting. David says the Knicks just played there tonight. Did they win? Hey, 481 says, will you come out to Long Island? Yeah, we go out to Long Island a lot. Con, good to see you. Ben says, does the threat of severe economic sanctions against Russia concern you for any reason? It doesn't really concern me. I think a lot of that Russia stuff is a big sort of just a news calamity, I believe. Smee Media says, hi Tom, have you ever done any sports announcing? I have not done any sports announcing. But maybe that would be fun a little bit. Wow, check this out. It almost looks like the entire Empire State Building is gone. It almost looks like the building's just not even there anymore. Mimi says, Jeff Vinink was a manager for Magellan, I remember. OF says you could be an announcer. So I'm gonna have to check out that book. I will check it out, I promise. But I apologize for the choppiness in the stream. We did start our first live stream very early, but I had to attend to some clients, so we did have to call it a night early. But we'll go inside the Moynihan train station here, take a little bit of a walk around. But we have to be a little bit quiet. The architecture in here is beautiful. I'll give you guys a look at the ceiling. So I think they just recently finished restoring the entire thing, but they left all the original architecture intact, which I think was a good decision because it's beautiful in here. So this is the old post office, but it actually still is in operation. And then this will take you into the new Moynihan train station. Yeah, David Choi, you're right. It used to be a post office. It's actually still in operation. But the corridor here takes you directly into the Moynihan train station. Yeah, Jonathan Richards, the ceiling is amazing. Crazy attention to detail there. It's midnight. Yeah, I gotta run, guys. I know it was a short stream tonight. I do apologize because I had to attend to some unfortunate events that turned out to just be a big fire drill. So I appreciate everybody joining tonight. We will be live tomorrow. So please join us for the live stream tomorrow. We'll cover more earnings in depth. Obviously tonight's stream was about Meta. So if you guys are new to the stream, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the stream tonight. And if you haven't signed up for the Behind the Street news, !news, NEWS in the chat. The Nightbot will drop the link to my Behind the Street newsletter that I write for over 420 investors. So it's awesome. So thank you everybody for signing up. I appreciate it very much. Solo401, I appreciate you. Marcy M. Andy's here. Techno Pink, thanks for joining. Ibrahim Zam. David Choi. Abdul Pacific Desert Raid 007. Vinny Castellano. Vane, thank you. Joey Garcia. Cosmo Scary, I appreciate you very much. Jerry, Kira J, I'll see you in the next one. Vegetto 14, thank you. Aaron Prill. And everybody else who's been joining, appreciate it. Into the Mighty Bull, thank you. And have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And look out in your inbox tomorrow at 8 a.m. for the Behind the Street newsletter. And we'll see you all right back here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the week. Marty Lewis, Solo401, Andy, Nicole, appreciate you guys. Have a good one. See you in the next one.